With excessive screen time increasing the risk of having attention deficits and the frequency of ADHD diagnosis at an all-time high, what can be done to effectively support students' ability to engage in academic exercises of their neuroplasticity in schools? Well, thankfully, there's already classroom-appropriate tools for self-regulation. Hi. My name is Cheyenne. I taught in high schools across America for 7 years, which is how I know families want more security for themselves and socioeconomic mobility for their children. Now, as an independent researcher, I've published 92 specific, measurable, evidence-based goals covering everything from childhood experiences to disaster readiness. Being a part of this community means you don't have to start from scratch. Just pick the goal that resonates with you. Research at People Be Peoplein' is grounded by 9 pillars, and this video is one of 7 exploring pillar number 2, shield children. In 1903, by pouring over $120 million into the General Education Board, which is the equivalent of $7.83 billion in today's money, oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller institutionalized the factory model of education. His efforts resulted in standardizing curriculum, extending the school year, and promoting vocational training to supply the industrial workforce. Now, the General Education Board's funding and advocacy allowed the number of high schools in America to go from just 6,000 in the year 1900 to roughly 27,000 in just 100 years. The institution of school itself and the legal requirement to attend has created a circumstance for third-party intervention and socialization of children. However, the oil tycoons' influence on the expectations of students shifted public education to a more rigid, bureaucratized, and graded system designed to produce reliable, punctual, and obedient workers to fuel industrial growth. Fast forward to 2026, and all the issues teachers were having with getting young people to be compliant, seated, and focused for 45 or more minutes at a time have been amplified by the dopamine roller coasters that devices put children through. Feeling a sense of belonging in high school is one of the 7 positive childhood experiences that set kids up for an enjoyable adulthood. So it's important that school staff, families, and students tackle this issue together to make 6 hours of our children's daily lives an enjoyable one that improves them, not a combative one that wears them down or makes them feel rejected. If schools collect students' phones at the beginning of the day and integrate teaching tools to support student self-regulation, students will be able to have more enjoyable engagement with learning. I was immensely relieved in 2021 when the school I was working in started having our students hand in their phones to the security team as they entered the building, and then having their phones redistributed to them through their advisory at the end of the day. Because my students were too young to defend themselves from the dopamine addiction they developed to their phones, staff and family came together to ensure that the catalyst of addiction was removed from them and that families knew what steps to take to contact their child in case of an emergency. If there was anything I'd change about the rollout of this system, it would have been time to train us, the teaching staff, on integration of self-regulation tools like these in our classrooms. Some things on this list we already knew as teachers, like using visual timers in our slides so students can see elapsed and remaining time for a task. We also knew that we should only allot tasks that take as long as our students' age. So if we were teaching 9th grade with students who were typically 13 or 14 years old, there should never be a task that goes more than 14 minutes without at least a check-in, break, or some kind of redirection. Through experience, I learned that having lo-fi beats at a low volume encourages active listening and calms the nervous system during work time. I also figured out through experience one of Summit Education's best practice of co-regulating with the student to get them to calm down instead of just telling them. That meant standing next to or holding the hand of a student while we did 3 deep breaths, in through the nose, hold, out through the mouth, hold, and repeat. Doing research for this video helped me learn that there's another technique called hot chocolate breath, in which the student takes grounding breaths by visualizing cooling off a cup of hot chocolate. I also learned that the use of ice water stimulates the vagus nerve to calm the nervous system. So something I wish that we had done as a staff, and that I hope this video inspires schools to do, is carve out time for teachers to place orders for ice water dispensers disposable cups, coolers to keep the ice in, and also classroom-friendly fidget toys. Thankfully, the nation is moving away from the use of standardized testing to prove proficiency, with over 44 states removing testing requirements to earn a high school diploma. This gives teachers more flexibility to structure lessons in different ways. Sure, best practices we associate with more traditional learning, like having students write concepts and definitions with pencil and paper, tackling a large set of practice problems to create context for repetition, or even making and using flashcards. They all have their place in high school classrooms, but not for 45 to 60 minutes of the class and not for all 5 days of the week. Which of these practices helped you or your students regulate their attention? Are there any practices you know of that weren't listed? Leave a comment so we can share and spread awareness. Don't forget to join the People Be People in community. This research initiative is independent and funded by people like you who believe communities should be built on evidence. When you donate through Shopify, you'll be thanked with a discount code for your next order. An added bonus is that 100% of shop proceeds also go right back into our initiative and towards our monthly goal of $2,000. Thank you for building this with me.